Hello, welcome to Friends of the Word. This is the segments that we have interviews and guests. And today, my guest is Andy SAYLES. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I've known Andy for a good 10 years. Andy started his interaction with me at the Jesus Christ Prince of Peace Chapel, where I was chaplain and campus minister. And then I met his wife, and then I met his children one at a time, and then they all got baptized. So yes. That's basically the story. Okay, Andy is an attorney, so I'm going to have him talk about that first. He's a Catholic, and his firm is rather Catholic. It's not a church firm. It's an attorney's, a firm of attorneys, and I want to know what a Catholic in the legal system is all about. Okay, don't you too? Okay.
Well, thank you.
Well, first of all, let's go back. Give me your education.
So I went to Syracuse University for undergrad, and I stayed on there for law school as well. So spent 7 years up there, and I'm from in Western New York, between Rochester and Buffalo originally.
Oh, that's where that accent is from.
Yeah,
very
so
nice.
Western
accent.
New York accent, Midwestern accent.
Yeah, right. It is. It really is.
It sticks out down here.
It does.
So was in Syracuse. Met my now wife while she was finishing her education.
Same school?
Syracuse University.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And then we wound our way down to New Jersey. Just when I finished law school, I found a job down here. And
was it with Connell Foley?
No, I worked for a judge in Hackensack for 1 year. Then I went to another firm for a couple years, doing similar work, and then I landed at Connell Foley in 2007.
Excellent,
so I've been there
excellent.
Since.
And give me a little bit of history with you and Amanda.
Yeah, so I met Amanda at Syracuse. She's originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico, by way of Virginia. Her parents grew up in Virginia, but her father was in the Air Force out there.
Okay.
And I grew up, I thought I lived far away from Syracuse, 2 hours west. She was literally across country. And we met when I started law school up there. So I think I met her my first few weeks into law school.
Oh, good.
Kind of had a feeling about it, and we dated through law school, got engaged my last year of law school. She moved to Virginia for a year to teach while I was finishing law school, and then we both relocated to New Jersey in August of 2005, I think, and we've been down here ever since.
And when did you marry?
We got married the following. No, we were married. We got married the following year. Yeah, July 2006.
And where was that?
In Virginia.
Okay, great. And now I know in the process of meeting Andy and Amanda, Amanda decided to become a Catholic, so I'm going to investigate that. She wasn't Catholic when you met, obviously.
No, she was raised Baptist and Presbyterian. Their father's Baptist and mother's Presbyterian.
Okay.
And always had religion in her life, but just not the Catholic
faith
that we had.
Now, I'm going to eventually have Amanda on the show because I want to interview her and her journey. But what do you know about her journey, becoming Catholic?
Well, we both knew that in our life religion was important. We knew we didn't want to deal with it being a point of contention, and we both wanted our children to have faith. So when we got down here, we kind of kept kicking the can down the road. How are we going to deal with this? And I remember we had just moved into North Haledon, and I was trying to get back on track, start going to church. I don't think since I moved to New Jersey the year before, I hadn't found a church to go to. I think I'd attended Christmas Mass and, back home and things like that.
Right.
I remember I went by the Prince of Peace Chapel, and I had kind of gotten back into faith when I was at Syracuse by going to their chapel on campus.
But the Newman House probably, or Newman Center, they were the various names of campus ministry.
Correct. And I found it very welcoming, so I'll stumble into the William Patterson chapel and see what's about. And that's how I met you.
And we were welcoming, I hope.
You were very. And I came home. I said, you've got to see this priest. And I told her about, I think, when you gave one of your classic homilies, and I think I brought her a few weeks later, and she really felt, she had a connection with it.
Good.
From that point, we kind of both agreed this is easy. This is somewhere we both like to be. We both believe in everything that's being taught, and let's go forward with it.
And then one day, I got a surprise, because I thought she was coming to Mass with you. She was a Catholic. And then one day, either you or she asked me about instructions and becoming a Catholic.
Yeah, that's correct. She hadn't been baptized growing up. She'd always gone to church or attended different services, but she hadn't done it. And myself, I'd been baptized, but I had stopped going to my services before getting confirmed. So I had always wanted to get confirmed. It was kind of one of those things I just I wish I'd gone through, but when I was 15 or 16, I fought my mom and I found it, and it just didn't happen. So that I wanted to get confirmed, and she said, "Well, I want to get baptized," and we both agreed to let's go. We were starting a family at that point. We didn't have, I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the time frame.
I don't remember. I don't think they had kids yet.
Yeah, so maybe it was further back then. So we hadn't had our older son Ryan. We had him in 2009, so it was just in that short window beforehand.
Right. Wow, that's great. And it was a great experience. Do you remember any elements of what we call the RCIA, the Rite of Christian Initiation of Adults?
Yeah, I remember the class was offered. It was a good group there were people from all over, different backgrounds.
Yes.
There were some younger people. There were some adults like us. I remember there's one woman attending. She was getting married soon. She was, I think, becoming Catholic for her husband.
Right.
I remember Matt, I believe, ran it with us.
Right.
Yeah, it was nice. We really enjoyed it. We'd go to Mass, and then we'd have the meetings afterwards, and it got us involved. We got to meet many more members of the community, and it's such a close-knit group.
Yes, really thank you. It was. And that's very insignificant for our general audience. The RCIA, you've heard us speak about it before, the Rite of Christian Initiation of Adults. As a matter of fact, there's a gentleman in Texas who is going through the RCA there, and he wants to be baptized here in New Jersey at one of my masses during the Easter season, which is interesting because he follows us online. He comments on our homilies and all that. So that's really great. That's Arnold. So hi, Arnold, when you hear this. So the RCIA is a process in which adults, any age adults, are invited to understand more elements of the church. And there are series. It could be a year or academic year or scholastic year or two. And they're usually introduced to the community and then go off on their own for the, quote, educational part of it. Is that basically what happened? Yeah,
it was. I remember we presented to the church, and we'd have meetings, but there were, over the course of the week, let's reflect on this for the week, let's consider this, and I don't know. I remember meeting a lot and having open discussions about maybe what you had discussed that week, or some of we'd talk about, the Advent and Lent and all the other factors into it, and just learn about the process.
Being he mentioned Advent and Lent, let me indicate, it's really the Lenten season that's the last phase of the preparation for the sacraments of initiation. Sacraments of initiation are baptism, confirmation, first Eucharist. Now you had received Eucharist, but obviously Amanda did not. So the last phase is through the season of Lent. There's what we call the scrutinies, the weekends in which the candidates are asked what their intentions are. Their sponsors play a very important role. Who was your sponsor, by the way?
I'm trying to recall. It might have been Bill or Kathy, to be honest.
Oh, yes.
We didn't have any family in the area. We really didn't know a lot of people in the community. We'd only lived in the town for maybe a couple months when we started. So.
And Bill is on the other side of the camera, so I'm going to ask him. Was that accurate? Were you and Kathy? So thank you.
We were step-in godparents for Ryan.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll figure that out as we go along. And so the process culminates, and it doesn't always have to culminate for every person at the Easter Vigil. It's the Easter season, but the Easter Vigil is the most important, and that's when you're called up for First Communion, and baptized. And you were baptized, but Amanda wasn't.
She hadn't been. So you baptized Amanda, and then I remember she reached in. She was, I think, pregnant with our first son at the time.
Yes.
And let you know someone else had just been baptized.
As a matter of fact, exactly, because our fonts were a walk-in font, and she was drenched. And when she came out, she said, "You just baptized two of us." That was great. But that was a great way of announcing it. Okay, let's continue with this. We'll talk about your being an attorney later on. How did it affect you as a family?
I think it brought us, closer. It kind of cemented things. Obviously, we were still newlyweds. We're in that period of looking forward where our family was going, and I don't know. It was a nice connection to share with someone. I don't think I'd shared it in that way. I mean, I was raised Catholic. My mom brought us to church. My siblings were all raised that way, but I'd never really bonded with anyone closely over going through the process. And maybe it had to be that we were more mature. Obviously, I wasn't adolescent going on through it, and we were coming of our own volition. Personally, in hindsight, as a teenager, I remember my mom was like, so you got to go to these, and you try to understand it, but when you're 12, 11, 13, 14 years old, there's other things you want to do sometimes. And I didn't have an appreciation for it, whereas coming back around a second time, and especially with someone I loved, and that we were starting to set a path for our family, I think it meant a lot more to me at that time.
That's great. That's great. And it really is important for our audience to hear this because, we go through the various titles, millennials and hipsters and all that other stuff, and we tend to believe that they're not part of the church. And maybe the issue is they're not part of the church yet, or not full participants yet. And when the time comes, the doors are open, and the RCIA was created for them, and we hope to welcome everyone around the table, and it's great.
It was I think it was the best opportunity for me. I think the timing just worked out well, because I don't know if I would have had as much of an appreciation for it, and I probably would have, but just the journey I went on with my faith and everything, it all happened at the right time, I think.
And with Amanda being right there with you, that was great. That was great.
No, it was it was a good thing for both of us to go through, and like I said, we both agreed that faith was very important for our relationship, and we wanted to make sure our kids were raised with it. And we've seen too many people get into it. Can be a divisive point in certain marriages as well. So we're really happy that we're on the same page about it.
Exactly.
And we were able to kind of go forward lockstep with it.
At this point, how have you passed it on to your kids? You have 2 boys.
We have 2 boys. Our older son Ryan's going through. He just had his first reconciliation in December, and he's actually doing his Eucharist in this year in April.
Excellent.
So we've been going through the classes with him. I've kind of been taking the lead, getting him involved in that, explaining to him what the process is.
Good.
And
if
Patrick's,
I could be of any assistance, call me. You know that.
Well, and we like where we are, but he always says, "Oh, is this the funny priest?" When I say we're going to church, we go to a different church at the moment. But it's like, no, we'll go see Father Lou soon enough.
That's funny.
But Ryan's definitely getting a grasp for it. And Patrick's starting to where he likes church. He likes to go and sing, and he likes to say amen.
Excellent.
But as like any 4-year-old, they have a tough time sometimes getting through it. But
fidgety and
exactly. But he's good. Yeah. So we're trying to show it to them and make sure they're exposed to it, and he sees what his big brother does, and he wants to go to all the meetings.
Excellent. Excellent.
It's funny, during the reconciliation, he's watching Ryan go back. There are 4 priests helping out for it. Ryan went out to one corner, and he's like, "Where's he going? Can I go? Can I?"
Not yet.
Anyways, so we're trying. We definitely expose them to it, and I think that's part of it too, making sure it's something of your daily life, and that it's not a new thing to them all of a sudden. They turn 6 or 7 or 8.
Is it brought into your daily life at home?
We talk. We say prayers. We say grace over dinner every night, and we try to mix in. Our different faith. We still say the grace that my wife was brought up saying.
Good.
As opposed to the traditional Catholic one. And,
I don't know it's Catholic.
The one we always
bless us, O Lord. Yeah, I know.
So we definitely make sure we tell them to pray. We've got health problems or things in life. We pray for the people we care about and we're thankful. So we try to. I don't know how much it sinks in, but you lead by example.
Exactly. Planting the seeds. That's wonderful. Okay, we're going to continue this conversation at another segment, but I thank Andy for being here, and you'll hear the continuation of this in our future broadcast. And I want to really get the point across that, he's a wonderful person, he's talented, he's educated, he's got degrees, blah, 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 but he's an ordinary guy. And that's what's interesting about him and Amanda and the boys. It's just another family, but another significant family because they're part of our faith, the church family. Thank you, Andy. We'll be back, and we'll continue. Thank you very much. This has been Father Louis SCURTI with Friends of the Word. Let me hear from you. FatherLouisSCURTI@hotmail.com. God bless you.